Well, Ron, as you know, earlier this week, Shelby County residents went to the polls. At least 11% of the registered voters did. And on the ballot were 4 Memphis-Shelby County school board seats for District 1, 6, 8, and 9. And let's get a refresher and take a look at the results. District 1, Michelle McKissack was re-elected to her seat. District 6, T.L. Harris came out on top with 29.2% of the vote, replacing Keith Williams, who's retiring from the board. District 8, Tanya Frey won with 61.3% of the vote, replacing Amber Hewitt Garcia. District 9, Joyce Dorse Coleman will be keeping her seat, re-elected. She is currently the vice chair of the board. Now, this week, Chalkbeat reporter Bri Hatch has been digging into what this election means after the Tennessee legislature passed that long-awaited bill to create an oversight board, a board of managers for the Board of Education. And Bri, thanks so much for joining us once again today.
Thank you for having me.
So the state-appointed oversight board is supposed to take over starting July 1st, before newly elected local board members even take office in September, on September 1. What does this mean practically for Memphis parents and students?
Well, when the oversight board takes control in the Memphis school district, they're going to have power over key decisions that the local school board usually makes, such as approving the budget, reviewing contracts for like external vendors or organizations that work with the school district. And they also will have the power to hire or fire staff, including the superintendent. So a lot of the responsibilities that the local board is used to having full reign on, full control of, they will not have the full authority anymore.
So this Board of Managers is going to have command and control of Memphis-Shelby County schools. Republican lawmakers say they're modeling this after the 2023 state takeover in Texas of Houston schools. What are some of the things Houston's new leadership did?
Houston's new leadership did remove the superintendent before coming in, or not before coming in, once they came in. They also, their new superintendent implemented new curriculum for the district. There was a new standards or review system for teachers in the district. Those are just like a few things that the board did in Houston.
So in your conversations with Memphis educators and community members, what are they saying when they hear about that comparison between the takeovers in Houston and the one that's coming in Memphis?
I think a lot of school officials and community members are waiting to see really who is appointed on the oversight board and what steps the oversight board will actually take to change things in the district. Lawmakers have obviously been referring to the Houston district, but they've declined to say how closely the oversight board in Memphis will mirror what the Houston board did. So I think it's a waiting game for a lot of those specific details right now.
Well, the MSCS board voted to hire a lawyer to potentially sue the state over this, but then the governor signed a bill that the legislature passed quickly, blocking the district from using public funds for a lawsuit about this. So where does that stand, and is there any realistic legal challenge on the horizon?
MSCS officials are saying they're waiting for the governor to sign the takeover bill into law officially before making any decisions about the lawsuit. But we did see the county commission, Shelby County Commission, approved a measure to set aside $200,000 to help fund lawsuit efforts. So we'll see what pans out once the governor passes the law, I guess.
Well, most candidates said they'd work collaboratively with the oversight board, but if the appointed board has final say on budget, staffing, and the superintendent, what power does the elected board actually have left?
The elected board still proposes like initial drafts of the budget, just for one example, but really the oversight board has authority to ask for any action or mandate any action from the local board or the superintendent. And they say that they could fire the superintendent, for example, for not complying with their demands. So yeah, there's a lot of authority there for the oversight board.
Okay, with the primary results in, what are the key dates and decisions Memphis families should have on their radar between now and the fall?
Well, there will be a general election on August 6th for Districts 6 and 8. The Democratic candidates who won the nomination will face an independent challenger each. So that's another election date to be aware of. We're also seeing the budget being drafted by the district currently. So that's something to keep an eye on. And yeah, just waiting for the oversight board to be appointed and for the bill to be signed in the coming days or weeks.
Well, Bri Hatch, thank you so much once again for joining us today and providing your insight on this super important topic.
Thank you so much.